Do you like eating sand? What about talc or titanium dioxide? The fact is, 99% of all vitamins on the market contain unnecessary and potentially toxic additives. That's why we've created Pure Vitamin Club. Our daily multicap is a carefully balanced formulation of the 13 essential vitamins plus 11 key minerals with no added ingredients of any kind. Just the nutrients your body needs to function at its best. But no vitamin will do you any good unless you actually take it. So we've made that easy for you. Pure Vitamin Club will deliver your vitamins to your door for pennies a day at purevitaminclub.com. purevitaminclub.com.
He's Hollywood's go-to guy for health and fitness. And now, America's angriest trainer, Vinnie Tortorich, with co-host Anna Bacino.
Why am I America's angriest trainer? Your good intentions have been stolen, and I'm here to help you get them back. I am Vinnie Tortorich, and folks, here we are again on the Saturday show. It's the one where I go one-on-one with a listener, and I'm not sure this guy is as much a listener as he is a reader and tweeter, I guess we could call him, because I found this guy on Twitter, as I do a lot of you guys. People, they'll write to me on, they'll go back and forth on Twitter for a week or two, and then all of a sudden they'll say, hey, man, I'd like to be on the Saturday show. And that is where I found this guy. He goes by the handle York. I guess that's my first question, York. Why York?
Well, it's my middle name. My first name is Lawrence, and my dad is Larry. So I would have to say it wasn't by choice. It's just what they called me.
All right. So you know what? I wish I'd grown up with a cool name like York. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, York. Because I played football. That would have been, a cooler name than Vinnie. Vinnie, just the connotation alone. It's like, yo, Vinnie, or hey, Vinnie Barbarino. York, how old are you?
I am 37.
Okay, you have no idea who Vinnie Barbarino is, right?
Yeah, I do. Of course I do.
Really? Your age group is aware of Welcome Back, Kotter and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, the reruns were on, and, I think people know where Travolta got to start.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. And the funny thing is when you're a kid, like I was in, junior high or so, I'm 50, I'm going to be 54 this year. And, all of a sudden, you're trying to figure out who you are in life as a young man. And, you're already I was having trouble in school. I don't know if you read my book, but, I was not the popular kid. And all of a sudden this show comes out, and the buffoon on the show was Vinnie Barbarino. So everywhere I went, whenever I said my name, like Vinnie Barbarino, I was like, oh, please. Can I just change and I tried to work in Vincent for a while.
Yeah.
But when you two problems. When you go to a private school and you start like in first grade with those people, whatever you do, I've always said, if you're the guy who craps his pants in first grade, you're going to graduate 12 years later as crappy pants.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. I had a fraternity brother who we gave the nickname Lumpy to. And he said, that's a horrible nickname and it's never going to stick. And God, what is it? 15 years later, his name is still Lumpy.
Yeah, it never goes away, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You end up dying with that name. So Vinnie stuck, and then it was Vinnie Barbarino. And just around the time that was going away, my cousin Vinnie comes out. And again, lovable character, just like Vinnie Barbarino, but basically the buffoon, right? He's the come from behind buffoon guy. And so, had I had a cool name like York, because I was a football player and I was an undersized linebacker who ended up playing a little college ball. But, I had to play with a lot of guts and determination. I wasn't playing with a lot of natural ability, I guess you could say. And if I could have just had a name like York, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good and it's bad. I mean, it's different. So how kids think about things that are different. But I really dig it. I'm a junior, so I get to wear that proudly as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not bad.
So, York, we could spend the whole 15 minutes and just talk about how cool your name is, or you could tell me what's going on in your life.
All right. Well, I'm on day 11 of no sugars, no grains.
Good.
Little background about myself. I'm 37. I'm 6'1". I weigh now about 315. Tried diets on and off. I was a bigger kid. And I've been married. My ex-wife had the lap band surgery, which then I got, which has been one of the biggest failures and probably worst decisions I've ever made in my entire life. And I'm looking for something. I was looking for something that didn't involve, looking up ingredients in a book every 5 minutes and counting how many calories I eat. And, I'm a big guy. I'm a salesperson. I just want to, I was attracted to it because here's a list of things I can have, and here's a list of things I can't have. So just go get after it, So that's what attracted me to the lifestyle change. And got to be honest with you, 11 days in, my energy level is off the charts. My sleep has improved. The change in my palate has been unbelievable.
Cool.
And I'm still getting some of that back too. I'm a former smoker, so I'm combining all the worst things. I grew up in Virginia and went to college in North Carolina, so smoking kind of goes hand in hand. They sold cigarettes on campus when I was a freshman in college, if that will give people...
Yeah, I grew up in Louisiana, and most of my friends that decided to pick up smoking picked it up somewhere around their 11th birthday. And I'm not being funny.
Right.
That's when they would start sneaking it, and then their parents would figure it out just shy of their 12th birthday, and then they would go, well, what are you going to do? And, they would start smoking,
It's incredible. I live outside of Atlanta now. And my wife is from here, and she's like, she can't believe the difference even from a place like Georgia to North Carolina and Virginia when it comes to the smoking. I mean, even nowadays, it's still heavily, much more heavily done up there than it is down here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of things like that where, just some like a culture will do something. And, most kids I knew they were drinking by the time they were 12. Because there would be crab boils and crawfish boils and catfish fries, where people would just in the South they do these big gatherings, and by the time you were 12, there was like, yeah, you can have a half a beer and that kind of thing and the whole thing, and people were often drinking, and and by today's like I remember Tallulah and her friends. Tallulah hates when I talk about it on the podcast. Don't worry, honey. I'm not going to go too deep here. But Tallulah and her friends and my buddy's friend, my good friend Mayron, their kid, these kids grew up with secondhand smoke will kill you. Everything will kill you. You're going to die. Mm-hmm. And they would smell a cigarette. Like I wouldn't even notice it. They would smell it from a half a mile away outdoors somewhere. And they would go, oh no. And out of the mouth of babes, like when they were like 12 years old, they go, oh no, secondhand smoke. This is not good. We need to. And Mayron's kids were even worse about that. Like one of the kids smelled a cigarette one day and literally thought, should we go to the doctor? And I remember explaining to the kid growing up and hunting in Louisiana, it would be like 4 a.m. You would leave before daylight to get to the hunting spot. And you would be in the cab of a truck, and what you have to realize about the cab of a truck in the 1970s, it was like just 3 people fit in the truck. There was no back seat or anything. It was just a little tiny one seat in the truck, and the windows would be rolled up, and the guy driving the truck would maybe have a cigarette in his mouth, and the guy sitting on the passenger side would have a cigar going. The windows would be rolled up. There were no air conditioning in a 69
that's what the
Chevy.
ashtray is for. That's what the ashtray is for, right?
Exactly. And they would just smoke, and I don't know how they could see out of the window of the truck because it would just be a haze of smoke. And I would just sit there. And, and I remember my parents never smoked, so there was never smoke in our cars, but we would go in my mom and my dad's friends' cars, like to Baton Rouge or something, and they would smoke the whole way.
Oh, yeah.
Different world.
I was just home in Virginia, and the California kids would go crazy for this, but we went to my godparents' house, and we were having a drink in their kind of bar area, living room kind of area, and they're smoking inside of their home.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make those kids from California's head explode. They would, they'd want to call the police.
Yeah, well, they're just not used to it at all.
Right. Different world.
So you had the lap band. Now,
Yes.
there was something, I'm not sure if I heard it clearly. You're 6'1", and now you weigh about 315 or 215?
315.
Okay, what was your heaviest weight, York?
Probably 345.
Okay. So you're coming down. And as you said, for the first time in your life, you're not counting calories. You're not running to a book. You're not trying to drink a shake for breakfast, have 20 meals a day,
Right.
and then, sing Kumbaya before you go to bed to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Correct.
I'm sorry that you and your ex-wife got talked into those lap band surgeries because, and I feel for the people who do, and I talk a lot of the phone calls I do when I do the private phone calls. A lot of people have had that surgery, and one of the biggest problems with it is you can't get the proper amount of nutrients in. Sure, yeah, you can't eat anymore because you don't have a stomach. Most people end up stretching the stomach out, but then they have all kinds of reflux problems and everything else that goes with it, and it's a problem.
Well, it got to the point where I had it filled with too much fluid that I woke up a couple times in the middle of the night gasping for air.
Oh.
I don't have any fluid in it now. It's completely opened, and it still inhibits. Sometimes if I get like a drier piece of meat, it's hard for it to go down. And truth be told, if I could afford it, I'd have the damn thing taken out.
Well, which one do you have? Do you have the lap band? You have the band or the Phobie pop? What did they do to you?
Actual branded lap band.
Okay, so they could take it out, right? They could.
Yeah. If I could afford it, they could. I mean, the insurance would not cover that, but yeah, they could physically. I can feel the port underneath my skin.
What does that cost to get it removed? Have you even looked into it?
I have not. The original procedure, luckily, my ex-wife had this incredible insurance, and they covered it, but it cost about $20,000 to get it installed.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty brutal because it's sewn to the stomach.
Yeah.
But I would just advise anyone. I know you have a lot of listeners to not do it. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, not only does it restrict the types of foods you can eat, but if you get it too full, you can't eat anything.
Yeah.
And once you get it blocked up, nothing's going down until it naturally settles.
Yeah.
So, it hasn't been all bad. I mean, I do now eat when I get a steak or something, I get a higher quality piece of meat.
Yeah.
So the numbers and no grains has been okay, has been really good for that because I'm not eating a lot of crap that would normally get stuck in a lap band, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
I don't have to worry about pasta getting stuck in my stomach or, rice or, grains are especially bad because they get into that small stomach opening. You drink a little bit of liquid and what happens to it? Puffs up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, they offered counseling and stuff when they install it, but, the dietary information is just, it's horrible. But we've moved on from that. Now I'm on this program, and it's so funny. My wife, she's such a sweetheart. She was packing me some pistachios for work just to nibble on if I got hungry, and she pulled out the measuring cup. And I said, "Sweetheart, you don't have to do that."
Yeah.
Just put them in a bag. I say it's the most liberating thing ever.
Yeah. Can I ask you this, York? How did you find me? I'm always interested in that question.
A Corolla, like a bunch of people.
Yeah. I was telling that guy, I can't remember. I did his show 2 days ago. I can't remember. He and I love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would be friends off the air because we end up talking off the air a lot. And I can't remember if we talked about this on the air the other day. You would have to listen to yesterday's show.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about, I was telling him, I said, man, you are saving lives. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, people, I had a pretty big audience before you. But now my audience is growing just out of control, and you are now responsible for tens of thousands of pounds of people just losing weight because they found me through you.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about that on the show because I think Brian Bishop, kind of jumped into the conversation. He called it the Corolla bump. That's what, that was on the show because I barely see Brian unless we're in the studio. Brian is kind of this weird, it's like when you're in the studio, hey buddy, how you doing? And as soon as you walk out, it's like, where's Brian? It's like, he's gone. Dawson, you hang with for like,
sure,
all afternoon. He's just this cool guy, and Brian is out of there.
They make it so you feel like you know them just from listening to them through a speaker, and that's a pretty remarkable skill.
They are who they are. They are not putting on any kind of, Adam, he's this interesting guy. I didn't know anything about him. He wasn't my generation. My nephews listened to him and the whole thing. But he talks about, I've heard his show a few times. He talks about how poor he is. And I've literally seen him walk through his warehouse, and there'll be like food that was already eaten, like someone would have like a styrofoam. He will just go to that styrofoam and just start picking out of it. And I look at that and go, and he's just picking out of it, talking to you, just like, yeah, someone finished these tacos. There's some shreds of lettuce left there. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, hates waste. He just hates waste.
He cannot stand waste because he grew up with nothing.
Right.
So I have nothing but respect for that guy. Just huge amounts of respect.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with those statements more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm day 11 and I lost, 6 pounds week 1.
Cool.
And I'm just, eating a lot of eggs, which is to be expected. I love eggs, so it's not really an issue for me. I'm having some issues with lunches. I work in an office, and it's been a bit of a struggle to, I got to get on a food preparation schedule, I think, because eating out, they sneak ingredients into food items that should never be there.
Yeah.
Like I had cream spinach the other day, and I started to look because I thought, it should be spinach and cream and cheese, and I look in there and it's like, oh, well, there's cornstarch. So, it's better to come from our kitchen, but can't always do that. So, the program itself has been just fantastic thus far.
Yeah, and by the way, you're going to learn that more and more. That restaurants, especially like I was telling Gina Grad, she couldn't figure out why she was getting hungry mid-morning, and she kept saying, "I have eggs for breakfast," and she mentioned that she goes to like Denny's and she gets the omelet, and I went, "Well, that's full of grains," and she goes, "No, it's just an egg omelet." I said, "No. They actually extend it by putting batter in it. You're eating like an egg and a half, and then they fill it up with batter because that's why you get it for like $2 or whatever. It's
unreal. I heard that episode and was like, because I was planning, because there's a little kitchen in my office building where I get my breakfast, and I was like, I can have omelets and get ham and cheese and things and omelets. And then I heard that, and I'm like, damn. Now they get irked with me because I ask them for eggs over easy, and they got to crack the shells and serve me real eggs, which you know how they feel about that.
Yeah, nobody wants to help the fat guy, right?
No. And so just trying to get everything dialed in. When I'm at home, I cook everything in coconut oil because you can't taste it. It's brilliant. It's so easy. It's such an easy way. It's so funny with the palate change. I have a newfound love of avocados.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, foods are jumping out. About 3 weeks before I started No Sugars, No Grains, I quit soft drinks.
Right.
And so I got a lot of the, kind of afternoon headaches.
Sure.
And withdrawals out of the way. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still had fatigue and some headaches when I first started. It obviously wasn't as bad because it wasn't as big of a detox as it is for others, right?
Sure, yeah.
But once you bounce back from that, it's phenomenal. You said you feel like have been drinking coffee all day, and you haven't. And the hunger in between meals is starting to subside. I mean, I'm over the moon. I sound like a Scientologist the way I talk to people about your program. And what was so funny, I tweeted you about the the gummy vitamins.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my wife, and she's of course rolling her eyes because you can't eat all this fat and lose weight. And I was talking to her about ordering some Pure Vitamin Club, and I'm expecting to go on the website and have them be, $100 a month, because why is this guy doing all this stuff for free, right? There's got to be some end game, right? And I go on Pure Vitamin Club, and it's $10 a month for the multivitamins. I'm sitting there going, geez, this is fantastic.
Well, and here's why, York, and we're going to have to go after this, but I do want to have you back on.
Okay.
When I was a kid, unlike our friend Adam Carolla, I grew up what I like to call painfully middle class, which means my parents, were middle class income people. They were school teachers, but they spent every dime to put me and my brothers into a private school, because in Louisiana, the only way you're going to get really good education is to be in a private school. And education meant everything to my parents. Mm-hmm. And so we got to go to school with the rich kids, right? But we weren't rich kids. And so it's almost a disservice because, and then I went to college and it was the same thing. I went to school on a football scholarship, and I was at Tulane, where every kid there was not from York, but New York.
Right.
So all these New York Jewish kids, and they had Porsches and shit that they drove to school. And so I've always been there with my face pressed against a window, not really. I was at the party, but I wasn't really invited.
Right.
And my thing in life was, why can't middle class and poor people have the same stuff that rich people get to have? Why, especially in nutrition, which is what I'm always very concerned with, why can't the poor have what the rich have? And I know that makes me sound like a Democrat, but I'm not. And I'm not even a Republican, because God only knows what they are.
Sure.
But I've always been, it's funny. My mom was a Republican. My dad's a Democrat. And, I grew up in this home where there's both. And, so I've always fallen right in the middle. I don't believe in anyone's bullshit. But whenever I started doing this, I said, okay, I can do all this stuff and just put it out there for free. And you would be shocked at the experts that come up to me and go, do you realize with your audience, you can be making $1 million a month? You could be, and it's like, yeah, I get that, but I would be cutting out a lot of people who could use some help.
Right.
And they go, well, what? All right, so you sell your book. Yeah, sell my book. My book does very well. My book does more than well. So I'm happy. And I don't even tell anyone they have to go read my book. As a matter of fact, you might have seen on Twitter where I'll go, you might want to go read Gary Taubes' book. There's more information in my book. And people are like, well, what's his end game? Is Gary Taubes sending him a check? And when I put out the vitamins, my whole idea, I could have literally sold those vitamins for $100 a month. No problem. Right. Because they are the purest vitamins on the planet. And, we get them third-party tested and the whole thing, because I want to make sure that they are always the best vitamins in the world. And people say, why are you doing it for $10? You could do it, you could triple that, and you would be 3 times. And I went, I don't think you understand. I want to give poor people the opportunity to drive a Rolls Royce, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what the vitamins are. So you will never see where I'm out there, pushing myself. I do the phone calls, but that's my time. It's like if people can afford that time, I do that, right?
Yep.
So, York, can you do me a favor?
Yeah, sure.
I like you, and I want to keep up with your success, and you're going to probably have you're going to fall back some weeks and months and the whole thing. How about we check in on this podcast about every third week?
You got it.
And love it. 2 weeks from now, text me, and I say, you have my email address.
Yeah.
Don't put it out there. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.
And say, hey, it's Lawrence, it's York, it's the guy with the lap band, ready to do another check-in. And about every 3 weeks, I would like to check in with you on this show.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right?
Okay.
So, and tell your wife that you're going to do this shit, and don't worry about it, and to pack you some goddamn pistachios, and everything will be fine.
Absolutely.
Tell her don't measure them, just pour them in.
Right.
I would literally sit here for another 30 minutes and talk to you. As I told you, these shows go for 15. You and I are at 25.
All
but
right.
I'm getting ready to go have breakfast with the great Dr. Jeff Gerber and Ivor Cummins, who came to Calabasas just to hang out with me. So I need to go meet those guys for some breakfast. By the way, check out Ivor Cummins on YouTube. He's got a thing called Cholesterol Conundrum. And you will love this guy. Hang on just a second. I want to say goodbye to you off the air. Folks, if you like what you're hearing here, you know what to do. Go to Amazon. But before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortories.com. It puts a little coal on the fire, gets our train down the track. It's how I get to pay people like Anna Vocino to come in and do this show. Without that, we would have no money. Bandwidth costs me a fortune. For years, I pulled it out of my pocket, but we do Amazon, and that pays for it. So please remember, bookmark us at VinnieTortories.com on Amazon, yada, yada. It puts a little coal on the fire, gets our train down the track. On behalf of York Schwab, or as I like to call him, New York. Yeah, he's never heard that one before. My name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with enthusiasm.
Check out more podcast episodes on iTunes. Follow Vinnie and Anna on Twitter or contact us with your fitness questions at VinnieTortorich.com.